welcome to the podcast, Daren Jones. It's good to have you here.
Hey, Kato, glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Will you just tell our listeners, a little bit about your role, because it's a little bit different from the rest of the trainers, and then what kind of primary geographic regions do you serve in your consultation work with us?
Yeah, so in my role as Associate Director of Training and Consulting Services, um, my role and responsibility, the way I put it in my brain, is to support our outreach staff, trainer consultants, support coordinators, AAI folks and such, and support them in just all of the work as they support, practitioners, people in the communities across the globe. And so some of my regions, Kato, is I support organizations in Georgia, Tennessee, Moldova, Alaska, Florida, Jordan. And so when you ask the question about, regions of support, I do have some of those that I just described, but, my primary support is to, every day this is ensure to support the outreach team, and the outreach team is global, with active projects, on every continent. So it's hard to individualize because, each and every day I just have the globe on my brain. So I try to support our people, whenever, wherever they are across the globe.
Yeah, so you basically just said one, for our listeners, one, Daren calls me Cato, which is Mercado shortened. Two, that you're my supervisor. So I'm going to really mind my P's and Q's on this one. And three, that really the entire work that we're doing outreach wise falls under your purview of supervision. And so I think about, like, we've talked on my episode that I support Eastern Europe, and that is heavy, and you support all of it. And so I don't know if you sleep much at night. My gut says that your brain is on fire a lot and trying to solve all the problems. But yeah, you got literally the weight of the world, man.
Yeah. No, the globe. I do sleep. I also do have, my brain is always ticking. Thinking about the work, thinking about the people, thinking about, Kato, I say all the time, I'm always thinking about the babies, you know what I mean? But I'm able to sleep. The reason I say I sleep is because I trust our people, I trust you, I trust everybody on the team, the outreach team, the KPICD, and the work that, y'all do each and every day, with the people, through the people. And so although, I do keep the globe on my brain, I'm at ease because we have, good people, that do great work and serving the people across the globe.
Yeah, that's true. We have a great team, and we're thankful for our leader. So we're trustworthy because we trust you to lead us. Okay. Have you always been a natural at TBRI? I know you started, you learned about it back in the day in residential. Were you a natural?
I think maybe it's two parts to that question. Well, two answers I have. I think yes to, a natural to the work, and serving people, and I won't get into the details, but, just my own, upbringing, my lived experiences, I remember first time going inside a undergraduate class in social work. I'm like, people come to school to learn about this stuff. Like, I've been living this, for the last 17 years. Like, my grandma been doing this for a lifetime. Why are we having this conversation, in these doors? But fast forward, to the work, particularly when I was exposed to TBRI and residential, it wasn't easy to do, but it has always felt natural, and the
Mm-hmm.
right thing to do, So I remember my first time hearing Dr. Purvis, at a training, and literally in my brain, I was like, this lady knows what she's talking about. She's been with, real kids in real time. And
Mm-hmm.
this TBRI thing she's talking about, it just makes a whole lot of sense. And so like in has it always come natural? I would say, in that first time of hearing Karen talk about TBRI, the natural part for me, Kato, was I felt like, Karen and Dr. Cross with TBRI, when I heard it, it just gave me permission to do what I felt was needed and right, already deep down in my
Mm-hmm.
bones and in my heart. And so, the job moving forward was to take those principles and strategies and do my best to try to be what we would say good enough
Mm-hmm.
in practicing.
Yeah, I like that, and I like the whole idea of. I remember you telling a story about like talking to a professor about I don't know what I want to do, but I want to do what my grandma does,
Yeah,
and that turned out to basically be like you said, social work, and um, I love going from that place into like TBRI being really a natural thing because as our listeners know, it was not a natural transition for me.
yeah, yeah.
It took a lot of practice, and it still does. So speaking of, what is your favorite principle? Which one do you kind of lean on the most or gravitate towards as far as the principles of TBRI?
Um, you probably not surprised, Kato, correcting.
Yep.
Correcting is my favorite. And I say that, and correcting is my favorite, but I understand that, empowering and connecting are a must, and essential, and correcting doesn't happen without those two.
Hmm.
But the reason, for correcting as my favorite is, one, historically, over time, I've in serving people, I've gravitated towards, you know, um, what we might say as, like the most difficult, behaviors, or the
Hmm.
most challenging behaviors. And so my heart has always gone, towards that direction in those kids that have those experiences. But I really love correcting because I've kind of arrived to this place in my understanding of the correcting principles, and I would say a deeper understanding is that I now know that correcting, um, and hopefully this makes sense, Kato, what I'm about to say, but
Okay.
I've
We'll chat it
understand
out.
that correcting is really, the bottom line is, how do we take these principles of correcting to meet these babies' needs that they're expressing, just
Hmm.
so happen to be they're expressing these needs through the form of, some challenging, behaviors, but those are big needs being expressed, by our babies. So part of that deeper understanding of correcting and why I love it is because for me, it's not about, we have to deal with behavior, we have to correct behavior, but I look at it as, and the reason I love it is the opportunity to meet that need of that child, at some of their most fragile, moments,
Hmm.
in real time. And so I always just think of correcting as an opportunity to play out attachment cycles,
Hmm.
that we talk about, in our work. And so anytime I get to practice it or, use it, every day, or to teach it, to others, that's the end goal, is to help
Hmm.
people understand that you just got a great opportunity. It's actually a privilege, to meet these babies' needs.
Right. It's so true. And it's interesting because I really, really like the way you said that because we so often talk about, empowering and connecting about meeting all the needs. But right, the rubber meets the road in the correcting part, right?
Yeah.
That's where we do see the expression of the unmet need. And it's where we get that chance to really be a detective and dig in and connect to the 5 Bs and the attachment cycle and how are we going to bring it all together? Because this is the moment, right? Like all the proactive stuff is so incredibly helpful. But right, you're exactly right. This is the moment where our kids are most fragile, and we have this privilege. You're exactly
Yeah.
right. We have this privilege to be with them in that moment. Um, when we talk about the strategies embedded within the um, principles, so do you have a favorite strategy, easiest strategy, hardest strategy? What about those?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say the easiest for me, and I think has always been the easiest, is you know, within the connecting principles, which is used throughout, all the principles and strategy engagement strategies,
Mhm.
specifically eye contact. Um, when you talk about the question, earlier about, is TBRI natural? I would say I've always naturally, um, you know, from a itty bitty up to an adult, been a watcher, an observer. I've been the one to walk into a room and, within 15 seconds, figure out the puzzle of what's
Mhm.
happening, and who's doing what and moving and things of that nature. So when I learned about TBRI, I was like, I already do that. That feels pretty easy. And so then it was about, transitioning those tactics, that I've used over the years into, working with kids, and being able to have a kid across the room and to be able to use the nonverbal of eye contact, but also communicate a million things, just through the
Yeah.
eyes, and it goes both ways, because I failed with eye contact, using, piercing eyes instead of
Right.
harsh eyes, and I communicated some other stuff to that baby,
Uh-huh.
but also using, soft eyes, or playful eyes, and still being able to influence, or transform whatever that was taking place with that child in that moment.
Yeah, I love that. Nobody said eye contact yet, and, for me, that was a tough one to learn because it was always a space of demanding respect. "Look at me when I'm talking to you," kinda thing.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
love the idea of, like, eye contact doesn't even have to be up close, which is where we see it modeled a lot, is, like,
yeah,
even with a chin prompt kinda thing for a younger kid, or, you
yeah,
know, some kind of playfulness with an older kid, but you're literally saying, "Across the room, I can have a moment with this kid and communicate, felt safety, connection," right? Like, you
yeah.
can do all those things. That's so good.
Can I say
Um,
something? Can I say something on that, Kato?
absolutely.
It's just an example of the power in that, eye contact, but also engagement strategies. I was our team, a few of us were in um where were we? Bogota, Colombia, a
Mhm.
couple months ago, and I don't speak Spanish,
Right.
and so we had this nurture group going on, and I was buddied up, with a little guy, probably about 7 or 8, and he didn't speak English, I didn't speak Spanish, and so for about an hour, we had a nurture group, but then we also had a lot of different some nurture group components, and then a lot of activities, going
Mhm.
on, and we did the dance, that full hour, just through nonverbal communication. So like the eyes, the body language, behavior matching, touch. It was just it was one of my first times, using those nonverbals, literally where we couldn't talk back and forth, you know what I mean? And facilitating relationship, throughout that hour, with those strategies like eye contact, touch, behavior matching and such. It was a powerful experience for me.
Man, that's a that's a really great idea. I'm sure you didn't walk into it thinking that, but what a way to have to depend on the engagement strategies, um, in a moment where you don't have verbal communication, or maybe you have, somewhat verbal, but you definitely don't have words to use. That's
Right,
powerful.
right,
I
right.
love that. Wow. Do you have a strategy that's really hard for you?
Touch.
Amen, brother. Amen.
You want me to talk about it? Do I need to talk about
Nope.
it? No,
Message received.
no,
Fist
no, no,
bump.
no, no. Yeah, touch has always been a tricky for me. Just because it's never been a part of, my uh my history. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
not something we did, um in my household, growing
Right.
up, even generations, back, touch, touch resemble. I never had a.
Who paused? You can't hear you, Em.
Sorry, Daren paused, froze up for a
Okay.
minute. Do y'all want to start that question over again, or just where you were? Just sorry.
Yeah, if you
Sorry to make you talk about it.
Now
No,
maybe
you're
we
on
start. Maybe we start. Yeah, let's start. You ask the question again, Kyla.
Okay. Good. All right. What's the hardest strategy for you?
Touch.
Fist bump. I got you. I feel you. We might have
Yeah.
this one in common.
Should I elaborate?
Sure. Go if you want to. You don't have to. Challenge by choice.
No. Touch has always been the hardest, Kato, because it just wasn't something that we did in my household, growing up. The only time I was touched was, when my grandma reached out and touched me with a switch or a belt, you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
so it's very different, and even historically, you know, um uh touch was very different, in the way that it was utilized. So looking back, in the way that it was utilized or seen or experienced, up to forward, to now, um, I've really had to one, understand, the power in healthy touch, and then really had to be intentional about, utilizing touch, you know what I mean? So like right now, every day, I mean, just this morning when I woke up, it was pretty early when I woke up, and I started my day, and then about an hour later, my little guy walked in. He's 7, and he was talking from the other room, half asleep and communicating to me. And so as part of that intentionality, I had to be like, hey, come over here. I need to see you. Come close. And literally in my brain, kind of, I was just like, I need to give this boy a hug. You know what I mean? I need to bring him in close, give him some touch, because it's good for me, and
Right.
and I know it's good for him. But it's those type of, intentional acts, each and every day, of how I understand of changing that trajectory when it comes to touch. It's hard, but being intentional about practicing every day, my hope is that it becomes a little easier and easier.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I have to be, when my girls were little, it was the same thing, just trying to be really intentional. And I had one that was more affectionate than the other. And so with the other one, I was like, oh man, she's growing up to be her mom. So I need to try to meet that need and let her know that's okay too. But it's hard. It's kind of a weird thing. I don't understand sometimes, like when people are like, I'm a hugger, I'm like, that is not a language that I speak. I don't get it, but they're serious about it too. All right, man, let's talk about redos. Tell me your thoughts there.
Oh man, redos. I think those Kato redos have been a life changer.
Mm,
When I heard redos, I first understood it as this act, this thing I could do, this strategy, this script that I could do, from an adult, to a child. But over time, the more redos grew on me and the more I understood about redos, the whole concept of redos, what I mean by like it's life changing, is because I'm at a point where I have like deep down in my heart that mindset of like, I could try it again, you know what I mean? So if I do something, whether it be with my kids, other kids, with, somebody outreach team,
mhm.
I could try it again. I could try that again and try to get it right the second time. And maybe I fail the second time, but if I do, I can try it again. You know
Yep,
what I mean?
yep.
So just the power of redo, really does, it's been a game changer. Another thing about Redo that I really appreciate is that it really does give the opportunity not just to do the action, in a better way or the right way, but I view it as an opportunity to uh, repair, whether it be a big rupture or itty bitty rupture, but just the opportunity to be in, that relationship with somebody and to walk through, talk through, whatever the challenge, that came up. And then the idea of Redo really helped help me humanize the experience of serving, because I don't have to get it right, all
Right.
the time, you know what I mean? And that's such relief, So even kind of when you ask like one of the first questions about like the pressure or the weight, of like this global mindset, that idea of Redo has really helped me, a lot with that, because we could continue to push forth in the work that we do, and we work hard and serve hard, but we could do some things the wrong way, but then having that idea of a little grace and to get to try it again, just keeps me pushing forward, and that's refreshing for me.
Yeah, I think there's so much freedom in the Redo, because like I remember very specifically, I don't know if you surely you remember this, but our first COVID online practitioner training, when we were trying, but we didn't know what we were doing. And I did my first presentation and it like tanked. Like I knew it. I knew you knew it. I knew the whole team knew it. And I remember like emailing you as like I hit end on that Zoom and saying, I really need a redo on that. And like it's like it's just a way of saying like I'm gonna need some grace. This was hard for me. I didn't do well, but I want to do better. And instead
Right,
of walking away in shame, I can just walk away and say like that was a bomb. Can we try it again? And
right.
I remember you just saying like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
And like,
It
we did.
and that's a really good example, Kato, because um around the idea of Redo is because it puts us in the mind state of like, you know, us as humans. Well, I'll say me, and I got a whole lot of stuff that I need to be working on and trying to develop and be better at, each and every
Same.
day. And so like, and it's a lot, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that freedom in like, Darren, you got so much stuff, you need growth and development in, but you don't have to nail it, that one
Hmm.
time. You can get to try it over and over and over and practice and practice, and repetition is what grows those muscles, and
Hmm.
develops us. And so yeah, it's just a beautiful dance,
Yeah.
in being able to do that.
Yeah. It takes the pressure off so much.
Yeah.
All right. If you could tell.
Can I say one more
Oh
thing on
yeah.
that, Kato?
Yeah.
The other thing, when you connect Redos to our kids, when you talk about taking that pressure off, I really do, and I've always loved the concept of Redo, is because, if I'm serving a kid who cusses a lot, you know what I mean? There's freedom in the kid and freedom in me to, if they cuss me tonight, that doesn't have to be the end all be all. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
We can try it again, say that the right way with some respect, the good words, better
Hmm.
words. And let's move on. But it gives freedom in both of us. And my expectation changes, where if that's a growth area for that child, they'll probably do it again tomorrow,
Right.
and guess what? If they splat out a cuss word at me, we're gonna get some practice and
Hmm.
repetition, try it again the way I know how to use your words in a better way. And that's just growth and
Hmm.
development in both people involved in that dance.
Yeah. 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 And like, if I know the cussing's coming back tomorrow, then I don't have to be mad about it, right?
Yeah,
Like it's coming back, so I should just go ahead and know we're going to pull a redo out of our pockets, and we're just going to keep that train moving.
Yeah, quit acting surprised, grown folks.
That's right. Quit acting surprised. It's coming tomorrow. Okay, if you could tell your younger, self that was just learning TBRI, and I remember you telling the story about the first time you heard Dr. Purvis, and you had kind of had an aha moment. I had an aha moment too, but then I had a what the heck moment. What would you tell that younger version of yourself from where you're sitting right now?
Oh man, a lot. First of all, I would tell the younger version a lot. First, I would say I go back. You just prompted that reminder, Kato, the first time hearing Karen, and I share it everywhere, on purpose, because it was powerful for me, and I want to share it on the others, And I heard Karen say, the kids bled before they came to us. They shouldn't bleed on our watch. When I heard that, it was so powerful for me because it came with a lot of I don't know the word, maybe blame and weightiness of and I just started replaying in my brain all of the ways in which I had interacted with kids and people. So I beat myself up a lot, right? And so like if I was to talk to that older version or younger version, of me in the beginning, I would tell myself, it's okay. You get a redo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I would also say and encourage that you ain't got to figure this out by tomorrow or next month. We say all the time in what we do, Kato, like it's a journey, So I would tell that younger version that it is a journey, and it's gonna be some ups to it, it's gonna be some downs to it. But for every, either of those that you experience, pay attention to that feedback and really think, Darren, what can be learned by, both the good and the downside of these experiences that you're having with TBRI, and keep pushing forth. And then, people get tired of hearing me say this, but I would tell that younger version, just trust the process, and it's a lifelong journey. So you might as well embrace it.
Right. Yeah. And that process is that, like, you're not going to think the needle's moving, but it is. Right. Keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I would say one more thing too, Kato. One more thing I would say to that older self is don't be afraid to tap into your own stuff while you're out here trying to tap into other people's stuff, So as you're trying to serve kids and parents and families and staff and caregivers, don't be afraid to look inward at your own stuff, your own history. I would tell the younger version that it's gonna sting and it's gonna hurt, but that stinging and hurt is gonna help you in the long game and along this journey. And I would make sure I tell that younger version that right there.
Yeah. Do your work, because A, you'll feel a million times better, but B, you'll be able to do TBRI if you do. And that's been a game changer for me too. Okay. Are you ready? We have rapid fire. Last question has like 15 parts. It's not that many, but rapid fire. Are you ready?
I'm nervous. Yes,
you
but
should
ready.
be, for sure. All right. I think this might be your actually favorite topic. If anybody on our team knows one thing, we know that Daren Jones needs to eat. What's your favorite food?
Oh man, favorite food. What if I say a favorite meal? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Can we compromise?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can compromise.
A favorite meal for me, Kato, might be a seafood boil. I got my shrimp, my sausage, some crabs, some corn, some potatoes, all of that goodness.
All that on the newspaper.
Just throw it on the newspaper and just have at it.
All right. How do you take your coffee?
Straight up black.
Okay. Walk up song or theme song?
Pass. I'm not gonna share. People start searching and Googling for it. So I'm not gonna share. I pass.
Okay. You can pass. Vacation spot. Favorite vacation spot?
Anywhere on water, doesn't even matter. Lake, ocean, stream, creek,
Okay.
river, anywhere on water.
Samesies. Favorite animal? Be careful.
Favorite animal? A hog, because I'm a Razorback. I'm from Arkansas, so
Oh man.
I'll always keep that
Can't
hog
believe you
wild.
just said that.
Hog wild is in my heart. Pig suey. Go Hogs.
You just combined two questions. Favorite sports team?
Arkansas Razorbacks. Hands
Okay.
down, no debate about it.
Okay. Well, good luck this year. Might need it. Favorite hobby?
Fishing, no doubt.
Yeah.
While I'm at the vacation spot on water, I have to have my fishing pole
Mhm.
in the water. So
Same. I love to fish. Daren, thanks for being with us today. I know our listeners are just going to love this conversation, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us and to lead us along the way too.
all right, appreciate it, Kato.